Welcome to Independent Venue Week. I'm Simone Marie, and I'm going to be chatting to some key figureheads in the music industry about independent venues, their journey, and their musical career. And I hope you enjoy them. Oh my God, it's like such a pleasure. And I'm going to say it's an honour to meet you and chat to you, man. I hold you in very high esteem. So thank you for chatting to us.
That's all right. I think we shared the stage once back in the day, and we hung out. I think it was up on Finsbury Park. I'm sure.
Oh God! Okay. Oh my God.
I think
I got to say, I mean, how are you?
I've been taking these last couple of weeks for the first lockdown and the second lockdown, I just went crazy and did everything that I couldn't do when I'm on the road. But on this lockdown, I was like, nope, I'm staying in bed. I'm gonna work from bed. I'm gonna work from bed. This is what you see is what you get, and that's and that's it. So.
You've gone up to idol status now. No, I mean it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, have you found it easy? I was going to ask you if you found it easy to stay creative within the restrictions, because I can see you doing lots of like bits and pieces, but often the time, like behind the screens and behind the scenes, it is a challenge to stay in that creative mindset, I think, because we're so restricted in what we can do.
The thing is, like, I'll make beats for breakfast. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like it's lockdown, whether I was working in Tesco's or whether I would be, I just make beats anyway. It's what I do.
Yeah.
You put a computer or a drum machine or a keyboard in front of me, I use it. I play it. I mess around with it. So being creative isn't the hard part. Motivation, I have a studio, and to get up and then to walk into the studio, then to switch stuff on, and then to say, oh, today is a work day. Today's a work day. Today I have to now put the completing edges to my album, or I have to comp all these strings, and I have to organize all these guitars. I got to EQ all these vocals. Now that takes motivation,
Yeah.
More than anything, the creative side of thing is not so bad, but I think we're all demotivated. Are we not? I'm not motivated because I want to play my tunes.
Yeah, well, we've just heard that. I mean, it's no surprise that Glastonbury is not going to happen this year. And I think, like you say, it's easy to stay motivated in yourself within your own confines, but not knowing when we can actually get out there and put stuff out there and play it live is a bit kind of got to contend with that, haven't we? I suppose
we're being treated like bottom feeders.
Yeah.
And what we've contributed to the stabilization of mental health and lifestyle and creative intrigueness, what we have done as musicians and artists and as producers and as runners and people who put stages up in the creative minds, what we have contributed, and to be treated like bottom feeders. It's like we don't get a mention. We don't even get a mention. It's like nothing. There's not one single platform unless we do it off ourselves. Maybe we do need to go back to the underground. Maybe we do. Maybe it is time to start digging those burrows and those.
I was thinking that with because I know you're also an ambassador of the FAC, which is great. And I feel it's never been a more important time for all of the creative forces to have that collective voice, because it does make a difference. I feel like that whole movement really secured that the 1.57 billion that we got, which fair enough, it is a kind of drop in the ocean compared to everything else, but it did help a lot of people, not everybody, but it did help. And and now I guess we're not wanting to get too much on a political rant, because I don't need much help. I'm sure you don't need much help at the moment either. But with Brexit, they're so obsessed with the controlling the freedom movement that we've just been lumped in, with everything. And it's really important what you say about music being there to reinforce people's mental health, their sense of culture, their sense of enjoyment.
Well, it's what we've done without even realizing that we were doing it. Like, I guarantee you that the half of the jungle or the garage or the drum and bass scene or the UK rap scene who were told in school that they didn't have, they were put into certain remedial classes or whatever. They just didn't have that, that academic, that know-how. Who were told, just sit in the corner, don't worry about you, and just concentrate on Chanty or whatever his name is. And we would all, and I say we because I, including myself, we would all be locked up. There'd be no space in the prison industry left, because we managed to put all of our creative energy and angst and all our views and everything that made us angry. We managed to be able to submerge into our music, and that's slowly now starting to be taken away from us. It's like they almost want us to to start making those same mistakes again. It's like, oh, so what are you going to do now? Are you going to go back to, now you haven't got the music, what are you going to do now? It's almost like they're testing us. And that's the way I feel, because I talk to a lot of people, because a lot of people now are committed to families, children. Do you know what I mean? So they have to set examples, they have to feed their children, they have committed jobs, they are now in the limelight. Some people are quite lucky, they got their millions, they've got their P. Some people got smart, they invested it correctly, but some people didn't. Some people are still sticking money into their mattress. Some people are still on road juggling a little bit of weed. Do you know what I mean? Some, they didn't invest wisely, so they're just, it's like they're almost waiting for us to slip up, because they're not giving me nothing. I actually joined the musicians union the other day. So I thought I was a member,
right?
But I think it is the job of the musicians union to reach out to all of those people who assume that they're members but they're not, and to see how they can help. That's what they're there for. They're musicians union. They're supposed to help us.
Totally. And I think, especially with the funding that happened, so many people slipped through the net, and it really it just made me so angry, because these people are main contributors all across the board in music to that landscape of how we live our lives.
Well, they give us dates. They give us dates now. They say, well, if you don't apply between this date and that date, then you're no longer eligible for. It's like there is no date. It's like the goalposts change every week. So how can you expect to apply for something in one term when in that
no, I know it's more stress on top of an already really stressful situation, and then if you earn like $1,000 more 1 year or something, then that means you're out of that category. And
exactly that. Things like that. And some of us, we're not academics, so filling in those forms, it can be challenging. It's just like this motivation. You open your laptop, you go to .gov.net, whatever, you look at all these different categories. There's grants and loans, then inside grants and loans, you've got like another list of categories, and by that time you're like, you know what, I'll just go and do something else, and that's these are the things. That's why I don't mind talking, because I think I'm coming from a real place.
Yeah, of course.
I think I'm coming from a place where, do you know what I mean, I've known the struggle, and it doesn't feel that dissimilar from when I first began.
Yeah, totally. I mean, to touch back on that bit, I mean, you were one of the pioneers of that Bristol music scene, the drum and bass scene, along with like bands like Massive Attack and Tricky and stuff. And you've remained a figurehead, in drum and bass. What was it like when that whole scene kicked off in the late 90s, early 2000s?
It was exciting. It was like, I was so excited to be able to sign off the dole, to no longer go to DHSS or to be dependent on the government. I could pay my own rent. I had my own house. I was no mortgage. I was mortgage free. I was all these things, and I could build studios. I could employ people. I could then offer people work, and I could give them a sense of my hope and share some of my glory of what it felt like. And I feel like that now that's just been ripped from the carpet. It's like I had about 15 artists on Full Cycle before lockdown. but there was just no way that I could sustain on keeping them motivated as well as keeping myself motivated, and as well trying to spend, like, if they made a great record and you want to spend, normally you spend like 3 or 4 grand on the promo for it, and then it goes down to 500 quid, and even 500 quid is a big ask, and that's not going to recoup, then it's like, oh my God.
And bands, but of course the obvious bands can't tour, they can't play the venues. And I actually feel really strongly that labels have been one of the most overlooked areas of music. It's sort of been divided into like bands and venues, but labels are really how the music gets out there. And now with we've got like, a lot of these vinyl pressing plants are in Europe, and now they've got to pay, the tax, the VAT to even get records out there. It's like, how much?
We can't even do like face to face. We can't even do it personal to personal. So we're used to going out and doing promo, and used to go and doing record installs, or go into small venues and face to face, and feeling the sweat on people's skin, and so I think that there's some pluses. I think we have to reinvent.
Totally.
And this is why, like, when I say that I'm staying in bed, it's not like I'm staying in bed just lounging out, just hanging out. I'm actually, it's a form of meditation. Is where I'm actually trying to think. I spend a lot of time like talking to myself mentally about, okay, so what is it I'm trying to do? What am I going to do? Why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? Okay, so how do I get to those people? I'm trying to like logically in my head work out how to get to March. And just by March, everything is back to normal.
Yeah, I think for a lot of musicians and label bosses and everyone really, we always think kind of a year ahead. You're thinking of releases happening, in the autumn and the end of the year, and you're planning gigs and stuff. But now it's like you say, you can only really plan sort of in the near future, like the next month or two, which is a strange thing to adapt to, I suppose.
I'm working towards March in every aspect, right? Regardless of what happens with lockdown, March is my time. I've made a decision that from March, I'm going to carry on as normal. As January the 28th, when I finished my tour last year, I'm going to start in March back to normal. Whatever it is, I'm just back to normal. I'm going to try and start doing shows. I'm going to start doing small shows. I'm going to start performing. I'm going to start just as normal.
Yeah.
5 days a week in the studio, 2 days a week on the road. That's what I'm doing in March.
Amazing. Have you been able to embrace the kind of culture of doing streaming things online, even though it's not the same? If you've been doing that.
No, I think it's something which I think is what's the word? Okay, so when we used to put records out, they used to last 6 months, 12 months. It used to be great, the building process. Now it's throwaway, and it's the same like streaming. I used to look forward to taking hours to even today, just putting like this up today. I was like, okay, and just downloading Chrome and just taking my time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that excitement. There she is. It's like
the same.
That excitement of downloading that one and then spending that precious time. You know what I mean? And I just think now music's becoming so throwaway, streamlines. It's like, oh, will you do a stream? It's like, why?
Yeah, there's no money in it. I mean, if streaming did one good thing back in the day, it stopped the piracy and the illegal downloading. But we haven't really come in much further from that. When you look at
it brought new artists as well. So I don't mean to speak over you, but it brought new artists, and it wasn't just about being on there and just streaming. It was also a lot of a small little insight into someone else's world. But when it's like now on TV, you just know what it's going to look like on someone else's world. Like, I don't want people to keep seeing what's in my background or just my.
I've seen bookshelves. I've seen it all now. I'm not sure I want to see everyone's living room anymore.
So I'm going to do the next one in the sauna. That's where I'm going to do the next one. You're going to get me bare naked in my sauna, and that's what you're getting. You know what I mean? It's like sauna size. Yeah, steaming it up and shit.
So I mean, just going back a little bit, like to go back to the venues, like how important back in the day when you were, you know, getting your craft together, getting your stage presence, your confidence, how important was it to play those small grassroots venues to you?
Well, you can practice all day in your bedroom. You can even practice online, but you put yourself up on that stage, and you know, look, we all know, like some of the easiest gigs, right, is playing in front of like 20,000 people, but it does. And the adrenaline is like, oh my god! But some of the hardest gigs is playing in front of like maybe 100 people, and trying to keep that 100 people interested, because when 100 people turns into 50 people, you really notice. But if it's 20,000 people and 10,000 leave, it's not so bad because you still got 10,000 there.
So true, man.
So nothing can really prepare you for your performance. You know, it's only doing gig after gig after gig after gig after gig to own your art, to own, you know what I mean, your craft, and to know, like, you know, when you walk up to that stage, you're like, I nailed that. I fucking nailed it. Do you know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah.
I nailed that. You know you nailed it. You know that. You know,
and you know when you kind of fucks it up as well. Because everyone goes to those moments. It's not like you want it to be 10,000% every time, but you know, on your way there, or sometimes when other stuff's going on in your life, you're like, But you're right. The importance of like live interaction,
and doing that day after day after day in different countries, after plane rides, after hotels, after not eating correctly, after your diet, after being a bit grumpy, after a hangover, you know, like, that's not the same. You can have a hangover with your partner. You could like be grumpy with your partner. You can have breakfast with your partner, but doing it as a unit is where you sit down at breakfast. So what do you think about last night? Oh yeah, do you know what? You know, and the honesty and the dialogue, just that kind of stuff, which I think is no stream, whatever. Do that. You could be in the room all day, and you can get people say, "Oh yeah, great." But like I said, the real truth is when the crowd responds and
completely. You're getting like the gig is like 100%, and then like a stream, I guess, is maybe 10%. But I suppose it's difficult. It's made people try to approach things in a different way, hasn't it? And it albeit in a bit of an unwilling kind of way, really a bit reticent to kind of go down that route. But I suppose it's like just got to try everything you can right now.
Yeah, I don't. Or don't.
I'm with you with the streaming. It's sort of.
Well, I just think that, like I said, maybe we need to kind of like just go back to the beginning. Just you know, I believe. I mean, this is what I want to do. My first thing, simple. It all started with block parties. Do a street party. Yeah. Do a street party. Make sure you do a COVID-friendly street party. You know what I mean? Because that'd be good. Just on that street, and they can invite one person each. And start off and then build it back up slowly. And I mean, just to get yourself back into that. And then, you know, like I didn't even knew that Glastonbury was going to be cancelled. And to me, that just makes me feel demotivated.
It's a kick in the nuts, to be honest. I think, because I can see bands advertising gigs for April, like social distance gigs for April. And I'm like, how? Like, nobody knows that now, because I think people are booking stuff, but then sort of moving it. And I just thought, well, we're in a kind of worse place than we were this time last year, and nothing happened all year. So how is Glastonbury going to happen? Like 250,000 people. We can't even do crowds, you know. So it's not a surprise, but when you hear it officially, like it came up on my phone, like a little news thing, and I was just like, shit.
That's shit. Do you know what I mean? That just tells me that the next bit of bad news is going to be Fabric is gone. And if Fabric
someone will step in, surely. I mean,
well, they stepped in once already, but if Fabio goes, I just hope that the super clubs, they just don't disappear, because if we start to become, you know, the myths in our own right, you know, not myths, like, you know, even now I tell people what it was like back in the day, only a couple of years ago. Oh yeah, back in the day, you know, Miami music conference, oh, so amazing. You know, used to get on nostalgic, and if we have to get to that territory, then you know that we're in trouble.
Well, I think it's like you said, we sort of have to just not think too far ahead of ourselves. Even though stuff in the summer is cancelled, to me it kind of isn't a surprise, because we just can't do crowds on that scale. But I'm trying to stay positive in the sense that it's not gone forever. You know, it's not, we can't do it whilst this is going on, but you know, we'll see what happens with the vaccine and what changes that brings. But just, you know, not that we can play in venues at the moment, but when we can, and when we have been able to, what are some of your favourite venues to actually go out and DJ or play live?
Well, just for me, it's all those major festivals like Tomorrowland. There's like, obviously there's just all these brand new European festivals, Rampage, and they've just become so epic, and they've just got their craft down to, you know, like Glastonbury is special, but some of these European festivals, like in Romania, some in Belgium, like Exit Festival, all these festivals in Europe, who are not just festivals, they have actually built small cities that are dedicated to what we do, and I miss those. I miss going there, being treated the way that an artist should be treated. Do you know what I mean? They get
Europe do it for sure.
Decent hotels, you get decent diet, you get decent system, you get exactly what you asked for in your rider, you get treated by the right people. It's all done prima papa. The flights are done respectfully. It's just not having to go back to that. You know, the system sounds shit. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, they didn't manage to get the right engineers or something like that, or it was too muddy. I just remember the muddy days of 2000. 2000 was the muddiest festivals ever. People still loved it. Oh my god, the mud.
It's a deal breaker, isn't it? Like British festivals, just when the weather's bad, it's just, oh my god. And actually, I suppose as artists, you get to kind of skim the nicest part of the experience, because you're not there slogging it out in a tent, you know, having to
we're quite lucky, aren't we, on that front? But at the same time, I have done the tent, and I have lost many a tent. I'll tell you that now.
We've both done all that kind of stuff. It's
not cheap tents either. Not cheap tents.
Do you consider yourself now, first and foremost, a producer, then sort of DJ, musician, live artist?
Producer, DJ, producer, A&R, DJ, label manager, all round good looking, handsome, funny guy.
All right, that's a good description. Put it on your CV.
Producer first, and then A&R, and then DJ, and then label manager. So that's I like to describe myself as a producer, A&R. So I could produce, I can A&R someone else's music better than I can A&R my own.
Yeah.
Which is
you can be objective about it.
Say that again?
Is that because you can be objective about it?
Yeah, with my own music, I just can't. I just you just can't. You have to take a break away from it and come back to it and come back to it and go. And sometimes you just want someone who can come in and just go and just have a thick skin and just go, But I'm a producer. I like to produce. I would describe myself without saying Quincy Jones, but I'm the kind of guy who can put the right people in the room. I can pick up guitar or bass and something. So this is the rhythm. This is the notes. Try that goes note. Yeah, sing it like this. I'm that kind of guy. Do you know what I mean?
But that's you're right. I personally think that's an art form. Putting the right people in the room takes a lot of experience to be able to do that, and a lot of experience with the wrong people as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. Did you see that Quincy Jones documentary on Netflix?
Well, the Stones one.
No, the Quincy Jones one.
Oh yeah, of course.
Brilliant.
I've watched it like 7 times.
Yeah, it's so good.
Because you always there's a lot of stuff that you miss. Like you can't just watch it once. There's stuff on there which, so I watched it about him first of all. Right. Then I started to watch it by looking at the stuff in the background, and then I started to watch it through the eyes of his daughter, who actually filmed the documentary, because they wouldn't have got anything else. They wouldn't have got the documentary.
Wouldn't have got that.
It was his daughter that brought out that human side of him and saw what he was.
I've just found it really amazing. You're right about having to watch it a few times. I should go back and watch it, but he's just the real deal, man.
But I also noticed as well there are people that were in that documentary, which I was surprised. Like there was no Nile Rodgers in there. There was a few major producers around. I just wonder if there was a little bit of competition, a little bit like, you know, who was like, you know, at that time.
Will it downplay my role in music? You know, it's not like, So, I mean, you've been making music back in the days and producing it since like the days of Cubase and like early, like Logic before Logic was that, and Pro Tools. Is the? It was called Notator. Say it again.
It was called Notator.
Notator, was it?
Yeah, the original Logic was called Notator. It was. Was it
rubbish?
It was brilliant. It is better than Logic now.
Wow.
And it used to go upwards.
No way.
If you go across, it used to go up. But carry on. So it's usually
I was going to say, has the modernization of all that changed the sound of your music, like the way you approach making music, or is it still the same ideas through different
same way? I use the same equipment. You can't really see a lot of it, but I still got my old samplers. Anytime I want to be nostalgic and go back to that original sound, I just get the sampler out. I just put up an old version of Cubase, and I put up 14.3 seconds. That's what it used to be, and you set yourself a challenge. It's the 14.3 second challenge. That's how many seconds you got in a sampler, and that's it.
Wow.
You gotta make a tune with that.
What's your favourite sample of all time, do you think, that's been used on a record? I mean, you've got the Amen break, of course, but
it's called Amen break. Because it's from a prayer, which is Amen.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah.
Right, Amen break.
Oh man, or hey. So but you know, my favorite sample would be from probably something which I've used myself, which I would have said that if it was going to be from a record, it'd probably be something like something from a Bob James record. It'd be an artist. Bob James or Grover Washington. They're two artists that I really, really love, and there's some great samples on their records. Normally albums, but the thing about it, back in the day, we used to scrub out the labels.
Yeah, of course.
we couldn't really remember. We couldn't really remember the name, but we always remember the artists.
Yeah.
And samples is a funny one because I still use samples, but you manipulate them just so differently nowadays, and.
Yeah, of course.
But even like with Brown Paper, I know that we'll talk about it, but even with Brown Paper Bag, I had a friend of mine called Cy John, who was obviously played double bass, and he just came to my studio one day, and we just sat down, and he just played loads of different riffs, and I was like, "Oh, can you play this?" And I was like, "Do," all with my mouth, got him to play all these different things, and I took them and I resampled them, and I made my own bass lines out of his bass lines. So my samples are my own samples.
Oh wow! So is that the boo? Is that
all of it, everything? So I just did a session with him, and then I ended up just like chopping up all the bass samples, putting them across the keyboard, pitching them up, pitching them down, and then once you kind of got them on the keyboard, you just like start to play different melodies with them, and that's what I love doing.
I mean, that record was huge. I don't need to tell you that. It was like a landmark point in drum and bass music. It took it somewhere else, you know. When you drop that in a club now, well, not now, but whenever, do people just still go absolutely?
Oh, it's the same response. I tell you what, the record is like. The record's like, it's got 4 parts. It's got like there's got the intro, then it's got the breakdown, and then it's got drop, and then it's got a bass change. And drum and bass does not have bass changes. They don't have like key changes. It actually goes from like one key and then goes to a key change, then back to the original riff. And there's just not many records in general that do key changes nowadays.
Yeah,
especially with bass. And you should do that as a bass player.
I do. Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive fan of drum and bass, man. Like, I used to listen to old TJ Bookham on Kiss FM. Like, I used to listen to all of that stuff, and I love that super cussive sound, that kind of traveling thing about drum and bass, where it just has this kind of almost like a psychedelic thing. You know, you go into another space rather than that super atonal, like industrial. I like that too, but I think that's what I like about your stuff and Bookham stuff is kind of like it's this kind of like euphoric state to it as well. I mean, Goldie as well, but it's like I just I love it. Sometimes when I'm in the studio with Darren, the drummer from the Scream, like he can do all of the drum and bass. Not all drummers can play live drum. He can do it. I'm like, fuck. So it's like we can play live drum and bass. It's sort of.
So a lot of people would always assume that it's always about, oh, you can play that really fast. It's never about fast. It's always about technique. It's always about technique. It's always about like just you know. And it's fun.
Where you fill in the space, it's sort of I love it.
All those ghost notes, and all those little elements.
Yeah. I love it. I'm getting all goosebumps thinking about it, and then thinking about being in a room with a live drummer. I'm like little, my hair's on my heart.
It's good. But so you guys working on it? It's like, are you guys working on much?
Not so much right now. I think Andrew and Bobby are always like crafting away little ideas and stuff. But it's difficult really because we're all a little bit separated, so it's difficult to meet up.
Bobby a lot, right? And he'll tell you this. It's like there was a point where I used to bump into him in Knightsbridge all the time.
Amazing.
All the time. It was like there was a point. I think we were just like we were doing stuff, and I just used to just bump into him all the time. I was like, are you following me? It was just one of those things. It was just like
the headline, like
all the time. It was like just like
by Bobby Gillespie.
and he's quite reserved. You know what I mean? He's like, you know, unless you know him, you know what I mean? He's like, you know, we stand there without a safety. Like, all right, talk a little bit, and then just walk off. It was like, what was that about? It was kind of nice. You know?
Yeah.
It was different because
Oh, have you still got some sort of like idols and heroes in the music industry that you haven't met and you'd like to work with? Like,
I'm quite lucky, you know, that I've met some of my idols. I toured with James Brown before he passed. That was quite lucky.
What was that like? Not many people can say that.
No, not many people can say it. It was different. You have to call them, you know, Mr. Brown. You have to do all those rumors that you hear about. Do you know what I mean? It keeps you waiting outside his trailer for like an hour. Do you know what I mean? He's not doing nothing in there. He's just sitting there. And then he's like, you can come in now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and then you got he's like original. But you know, there's people like Kenny Dope and Jazzy Jeff and all those guys who I've always admired, and Grandmaster Flash, and there's also a few film people that I'm really close with, and you know, we keep in touch, we say hello, and we put a text out now and again, and so there are people. You know what? I've been in the presence of Liam Gallagher a lot, but I've never spoken to him, and I don't understand why we've never really spoke. But I've actually been in the same room with him, Metropolis, and I've just for me, he's just got the best voice. As far as I'm concerned, his voice is is undiluted. It's like if you could put that into a can or a tin and package it, it's just that voice and the delivery and the honesty about it, and that's what it is. And I just love that. And I have not, like I said, I've met him, but we never spoke. And I wouldn't mind having a conversation with him just to know that that I kind of respect his voice.
Amazing. It'd be interesting to hear what music you guys could come up with together.
Well, I don't think we would go down that road. I think it's just for me that I don't know if he gives it much for techno or for jungle, for drum and bass. I'm not sure if that's his. Do you know what I mean? He's a rock and roll.
yeah. It's a full format.
I don't think he's the kind of guy who's you're gonna catch on like it's not like Arctic Monkeys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know Skin really well, so me and Skin done a few tracks together.
Oh, we're going to be talking to Skin. She's my next person to interview.
Yeah. So we did a few tracks together, and then I saw her on the Masked and Singer the other day.
I didn't see that. Was she on it? Amazing.
She was on the Masked. You should know that if you're going to speak to her. She was on there.
Oh my god!
I saw her on that the other day. And I always remember I did a session with her, and then she's really, really small. And then she goes in the booth, right? And in the booth, you can't see her. And then this massive voice just comes out of nowhere. And she goes, I'm like, the fuck? Where did that come from? It's like
she also doesn't age. She just doesn't age. She looks the same. She's so beautiful. So I did see actually you're gonna be doing some shows in November that's as well, isn't it? I mean that sounds great.
My tours are all booked. It's so in advance. It's crazy. So that gives me something to kind of look forward to in respect that I'm just expecting it to be cancelled. In that respect.
The important thing is you're planning things and you've got to focus. It's better to that than have nothing.
At least I have that focus, and we'll see when it comes. You know what I mean? But we are planning to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, like March, I'm going to start trying to do things like how I would normally do, like my normal routine. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's like setting up the correct kind of meetings, face-to-face meetings as well. Do you know what I mean? Getting to London at least 2 or 3 times a week, making sure that I'm in touch with all my distributors and talking to the people and talking to the right artists and musicians, and trying not to be so I'm not trying to let COVID impact me. Like the reason why is it impacting me because I have children, and one of them's is quite ill. Yeah. And then the other one's got is mentally affected them as well. So
yeah, it's so tough, man. It really is tough. Yeah,
you have to work out how to just let them see you being normal so they could be normal. But if you let them see you not dealing with it well, then they're not going to deal with it well.
That puts them under a sense of anxiety as well, doesn't it? Yeah. Not just they need to see they need an example of how to cope, but they need their security, their little bubble of comfort. You need to keep that for kids, otherwise anxiety sets in at a young age. And
I'm based in Bristol, so we're quite liberal here.
Yeah, I love Bristol, man.
Yeah,
I love Bristol. I love the vibe down there, and it is a vibe. I don't know, maybe because we're music people, we sort of pick up on it, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to going back there to play in some shape or form.
Where are you based now?
I'm in London.
So you're in the thick of it, and it's honestly,
I do a radio show once a week, and in town, and I go in for that. And I was there yesterday, and London is a kind of eerie, unsettling, desolate place at the moment. It's weird.
The last time I was there, there was I felt like there was a lot of ignorance there. There were people who they just did not care. They do not care. They were, I was in Shoreditch, and they were out in their short skirts. They were out running around, t-shirts, just being to me, just not being fair towards the people who were fighting the struggle.
Yeah.
I thought, nah, it's not fair. So
yeah, no, I see a lot of it. You still see a lot of it. It kind of does my head in, really. But I've, yeah. I mean, you still get the people wearing the masks around the chin. And you're like, fuck's sake. You can't. I just think you can't take on ignorance. You can't take it on, because then you just kind of like exhaust yourself of all your energy, and you're like, do you know what, I'm gonna do my bit, and that's kind of what I can do, and urge others to do the same. But
and you know what, that is the reason why I don't do many of these interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I know.
And this is the first time, the first lockdown, I was kind of like, oh, look, we're in pandemic. I was kind of like, oh, this is new. Second one, I was like, oh, this is, I don't know. But the third one, I was like, you know what? I'm doing everything by the book. I'm going to be squeaky. I'm going to contribute. I'm doing everything they say. I'm doing everything I'm using common sense. Yeah. I'm doing everything that is common sense. And that's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm trying to do everything as much as I can I want to be one of the people that help beat this thing.
You know what I mean? That's so great to hear. I mean, it's all we can do at the end of the day. It's an airborne virus. At least we just got to do what we can and keep our friends and family and ourselves safe. But just to finish up, what advice would you give your younger self in terms of music? It's kind of a broad question, but in terms of what you know now, what would you go back and sort of say to your younger self?
Is it my circumstances, my younger self? I'm talking about me, openly and honestly, that don't believe your own hype. Don't let other people let you believe that you are something which deep down, really, in the heart of hearts, that you're not. I mean, you could be around, around people and, your best friends, and before anything happens, I mean, everything was fine. And then as soon as money comes into play, and as soon as, stardom comes into play, and fame and girls and all that kind of stuff, do you know what I mean? You get jaded. And once you get jaded, do you know what I mean? It's very hard to become unjaded, because in life, everybody, they have makeups and they have breakups. But sometimes you can build bridges, but sometimes those bridges can turn into oceans. And when they turn into oceans, those bridges are a lot harder to build. You can't build bridges across oceans. Maybe tunnels. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But my thing is that I've seen, not just me, but I've seen so many, great acts, double up acts, bands, combinations, fall apart because of just people, believe in their own hype and think it's all about them, even like Oasis, or, you talk about even in the drum and bass scene, some of my favorite groups are no longer together. This the magic that made it so great of them being together, and now they go off and they're individuals and they're not so great. I mean, it's just stuff like that. So I just say, just don't believe your own hype. So I mean, just always try and stay the person that you you are, that you believe you are. And that's just coming from me. That's just like, I'm 51 now. That's my own personal lifetime experiences. You know what I mean?
Well, they're wise words, I can say. It's a great example for any young producers and music makers watching as well. So thank you. And I wish you so much luck and success with all the new music that you're going to be making. And I'm absolutely going to be there when you do your first show live. Let me know where it is so I can come.
I'm going to keep you to that. I'm going to keep you to that.
Do.
I'm going to keep you to that. All right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah.
You stay safe, and
Yes.
hopefully I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Big love, man.
And to you. Take
See
care.
you.